You know that feeling when you're about to start that workout, that side project, that assignment that's due tomorrow, and suddenly your brain convinces you that reorganizing your entire closet is the most important thing in the world? Yeah, that's not laziness. That's not you being weak-willed or undisciplined. What you're experiencing is actually a deeply wired psychological survival mechanism that's been protecting humans for thousands of years. But in modern life, it's completely sabotaging your success. And here's the thing that nobody's telling you. The harder you fight against procrastination with willpower alone, the stronger it gets. But stick with me for the next few minutes, because I'm going to show you exactly what's happening inside your brain when you procrastinate, why it's not actually your fault, and most importantly, how to rewire this pattern so you can finally start building the life you actually want. Let's start by understanding what procrastination actually is, because once you see the real mechanism, everything changes. Most people think procrastination is about poor time management or being lazy. That's completely wrong. Procrastination is an emotional regulation problem, not a time management problem. Here's what's really happening in your brain. When you think about doing something difficult or uncomfortable, whether that's hitting the gym, starting that business, or studying for an exam, a part of your brain called the amygdala perceives this as a threat. Now, this might sound ridiculous because logically you know that doing these things is good for you, but your amygdala doesn't care about logic. It's the primitive part of your brain that's been keeping humans alive for hundreds of thousands of years by detecting threats and triggering the fight or flight response. To your amygdala, the discomfort of starting that difficult task feels similar to the threat of a predator. So what does it do? It activates your limbic system, flooding your body with uncomfortable feelings like anxiety, stress, and overwhelm. And here's where it gets interesting. Your brain, being the survival machine that it is, immediately looks for a way to eliminate these negative feelings. And the fastest way to feel better? Avoid the task entirely. Watch another YouTube video. Scroll through social media. Clean your room. Anything to escape that discomfort. The moment you switch to something easier and more pleasurable, your brain releases dopamine. You feel instant relief. The anxiety disappears, and your brain just learns something powerful. Avoiding the difficult task makes you feel better. This creates a neurological loop that gets stronger every single time you procrastinate. You're literally training your brain to procrastinate more effectively. But wait, it gets worse. Have you ever noticed that the closer a deadline gets, the easier it becomes to finally start? That's because the fear of consequences eventually becomes greater than the fear of doing the task itself. So you rely on panic and last-minute pressure to override your procrastination. The problem is, this reinforces another terrible pattern. Your brain learns that you work best under pressure, which makes you procrastinate even more in the future, because now you've got evidence that it works. Quick question: how many times this week have you told yourself, "I'll do it later," and then felt guilty about it for the rest of the day? If you're keeping score, you can stop now because that guilt is actually making everything worse. Let me explain why. Now here's where we get to the truth that nobody wants to talk about. You are not procrastinating because you're lazy or broken or lack discipline. You're procrastinating because your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do, which is protect you from perceived threats and seek immediate relief from discomfort. Think about the world your ancestors lived in. If they were hungry, they needed to find food now, not later. If they saw a threat, they needed to respond immediately. The concept of doing something difficult today for a reward that comes months or years later, that literally didn't exist in the environment where your brain evolved. Your ancestors didn't have to work out regularly to prevent heart disease 40 years in the future. They didn't have to study abstract concepts to pass an exam that would determine their career prospects. The survival challenges they faced required immediate action for immediate results. But modern life has completely flipped this script. Almost everything that leads to success in modern life requires you to endure discomfort now for rewards that come much later. Go to the gym today to be healthy years from now. Study boring material today to have a good career years from now. Work on your business today to achieve financial freedom years from now. Your brain was not designed for this kind of delayed gratification, which means you're essentially trying to run modern software on ancient hardware. And here's something else that makes procrastination worse specifically for you. As a young man trying to build something, you're surrounded by instant gratification everywhere. Social media gives you instant validation. Video games give you instant achievement. Junk food gives you instant pleasure. Your brain is being bombarded with things that trigger dopamine immediately, which makes the delayed rewards of hard work feel even less appealing by comparison. Every time you check your phone and get a hit of dopamine from a notification, you're making it harder for your brain to engage with tasks that require sustained effort for distant rewards. Plus, let's talk about something nobody mentions. The modern world has completely destroyed our relationship with boredom and discomfort. You can't even wait in line at the grocery store without pulling out your phone. You've trained your brain to expect constant stimulation, which means the moment you sit down to do something difficult, and your brain experiences even a second of boredom or discomfort, it's screaming at you to do something, anything else. By the way, if you're still watching this video instead of clicking away, congratulations! You've just proven you can beat procrastination. No, seriously, think about it. You could have scrolled past this video. You could have clicked away 30 seconds ago. But you're still here because you understand that the value of this information is worth the small effort of paying attention. Remember that feeling, because we're about to use it. So if procrastination is hardwired into your brain, are you just doomed to struggle with it forever? Absolutely not. But here's the crucial insight. You can't beat procrastination with willpower alone. Willpower is like a muscle that gets exhausted. Instead, you need to work with your brain's wiring, not against it. First, you need to understand that the gap between thinking about a task and starting it is where procrastination lives. That moment when you're about to start and you feel that wave of resistance, that's the amygdala firing. Instead of trying to feel motivated first, you need to make starting so easy that your amygdala doesn't have time to sound the alarm. This is called lowering the activation energy. If you want to start working out, don't commit to an hour at the gym. Commit to putting on your workout clothes. That's it. Once you've started, your brain's resistance drops dramatically. Because you're no longer anticipating discomfort, you're experiencing it, and usually the anticipation is worse than the reality. Second, you have to break the cycle of using deadlines as your only source of motivation. Start building what's called temptation bundling. Pair the difficult task with something you actually enjoy. Listen to your favorite podcast only while you're doing the thing you've been avoiding. This way, you're giving your brain an immediate reward while you do the hard thing, which starts rewiring that neurological loop we talked about earlier. Third, and this is critical, stop beating yourself up when you procrastinate. Remember, guilt and shame don't motivate you. They just create more negative emotions that your brain will want to avoid, which leads to more procrastination. Instead, get curious about what you're feeling when the urge to procrastinate hits. What emotion is your brain trying to avoid? Once you can name it, you can address it. And finally, understand that building the life you want isn't about becoming someone who never procrastinates. It's about becoming someone who procrastinates less over time. Every time you catch yourself procrastinating and then choose to take one small action anyway, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching your amygdala that the task isn't actually a threat. You're proving to your limbic system that you can handle discomfort. This is how you build real, lasting discipline. Not through punishment or force, but through gradually expanding your capacity to sit with discomfort in pursuit of things that matter. Look, if you made it this far, you're already ahead of 90% of people who let procrastination control their entire lives without ever understanding why. You now know that your brain isn't broken, it's just wired for a different world. And the best part? Once you understand the mechanism, you can start changing it. Now, speaking of things your brain is wired for, there's actually a fascinating flip side to this whole procrastination thing. Some people who get labeled as lazy are actually operating with a completely different psychological superpower that nobody recognizes. I break down exactly what that is in my video about the hidden superpower of lazy people. That's going to pop up on your screen right now, and trust me, after understanding procrastination, learning about this is going to completely change how you think about productivity. I'll see you there.